Hey guys, welcome back to Homestead Prepping and Survival. Today I want to talk about babies. What are you going to do to feed infants, small babies that need baby food instead of adult food? So I'm going to go through a few things. One would be diapers are very expensive. So how are you going to have diapers for the babies? We're going to have to go back to the old ways of doing things. You're going to need cloth diapers, safety pins, the little rubber pants that go on them to keep them from wetting, soaking the bed every night when you put them to bed. So there is quite a bit of things you can do now. And yes, a lot of people say I'm not using cloth diapers, but that baby's going to have a diaper, period, whether they want to or not. And the store-bought Pampers and Huggies and all that stuff put you in the poorhouse quick, fast, and in a hurry. So anyway, you can buy those things now. They're cheap, they're easy to get, and you need to be stockpiling them. I am a pawpaw, but I've got cloth diapers, rubber pants, safety pins, all that stuff in my prep supplies back there. Because what happened after the Great Depression, you had a baby boom. When people don't have anything to do, nowhere to go, they stay home. And when they stay home, things happen. So you need to plan for that accordingly. Also, I'm going to show you the fruit trees and things today. But guys, fruit trees really will make a great baby food. So anyway, I had to pause it for a second. But fruit trees are easy once you've collected the apples and the pears and the peaches and all those things, easy to make into baby food. So that is another reason why you need to have fruit trees planted on your property and ways to preserve that fruit for later use. It's something most people don't think about. I don't think I've ever heard of other channels talk about it, but babies are going to happen. You're not going to just not be pregnant because it's not the optimal time. So anyway, guys, I do appreciate it. Enjoy the video. Thank y'all. Be safe. Be prepared. All right, guys. I'm trying to show y'all something. I don't know how well it shows up on camera. Let's see. I can't see it, but you see one right there. One there. There's three on that limb. One there. Another one up here. And there's two on that limb. It's too bright behind it, but you can see them. Another one right there. This little thing has got little tiny pears all over it, like this right here. That seemed to help. Then another one right here behind that limb. So it's got them, a whole bunch of them all over it. But that's a nectarine, and it's always stayed stunning. It just won't grow big. But that one and this one was planted at the same time, and I only found one little baby on here somewhere right there. Let's see if I can get my hand behind it so you can see it. It's right there, that one little nectarine. I haven't seen any more on this tree, but it only had a couple of blooms too. This tree is 5 to 7 years old. So is the little bitty one right there. Let me get out of the picture. The sun's blinding me. So these pear trees were all planted at the same time. Of course, the main of this one broke last year, so that's why I cut so much off. But it's got nickel to quarter size pears all over it. And then this one's got about the same size pears all over it. I can't reach up there to show you. They got to get big before they droop down. But what I wanted to show you was that front pear tree with them little bitty pears. And then I'm going to throw my hand on there. Look at the size difference in those. These are bigger than a quarter. Let's see if I can get my hand up there. Will it matter? I don't think so. But anyway, it's got, I don't know, 50 all over it, something, 30, 40, I don't know. And that pear tree there has some that are just slightly smaller, but it's only got a few on it.
I think the bugs are getting it because I see sap all over it. And it's got some smaller ones like dime size. But anyway, all these trees were planted at the same time. Now, that's the apple tree right there that's leaning so bad. It's growing away from the privy and the weeds at the fence line there 20 feet away. That's why we cut all this mess back. And I'm going to try to string that tree up and get it to straighten up some. But that's why we cut all this mess down, was to give my trees a chance. So, I'm going to come here and I'm going to show y'all something. This little fig tree right here. It's 2 feet, 2.5 feet high. You see how big it is? Not very, right? But then look at that one. It's further in the shade than this one is, and it's grown 10 times as big. They're planted on the same day at the same time. And then this apple tree was the first tree I planted because I planned on pruning all this stuff back that's around it. And it was growing like that other apple tree sideways. So I tied string to it and pulled it back to straighten it up some and held it that way for a couple of years. And it finally, it's still growing out this way, but the main part of it's a lot straighter. But this tree is at least 6 or 7 years old. I want to say 7. And I've never gotten an apple off of it. But it's oh good Lord, it's 12 feet tall now, maybe 15. Look at the size of them pear trees. They're 30 feet, well, not 30, they're probably 25. And I've cut a bunch of the height off of it. So, and then I had 4 apple trees in this row. So the one that was here, I actually hit with the lawnmower and broke it. And it just never came back. This one is growing some new shoots on it, but the tree itself looks dried up, but it's got green growth coming. And it always blooms later, and it's in more sun than the other, but yet nothing. No apples. And it's stunted compared to that other one back there. And then, I know y'all see me walk out here all the time, but this hole right here was also another apple tree that did not make it. So we potted this one, and it came back in the pot and was growing. So we replanted it, and then it died off again. So I put it back in the pot. And then the next time, I put it out there on the other side of the house, out in the field part. And so I planted it 3 times, and it's still stunning. It's only about 3 foot tall, but it's still living, and it's just as old as these other trees. Now, since then, well, I'll walk that way. But I hired this young boy, that big old boy, but he was young. He used a pickaxe and a shovel and dug these holes that were 2 foot around, 3 foot deep, just, you know, at least 2 by 2, big holes. And he dug 2 rows every 20 feet up and down across this field, from there all the way back to there. And I had black cherries, I had plums, I had apple trees. I mean, I can't even remember all the kinds I had out there. Bunch of different kinds of fruit trees. And I planted that apple tree, of course, from where it was. And then the one up front, you can't even hardly see from here, really. But there's a much smaller one up there that I planted a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. It's growing, it's just not big. And the one that's a little larger, which, let me see if I can zoom in. I don't know, this daylight's killing me, this phone don't like. But see that little tree, let me get my arm in front of the camera. Whoa, right there. That little tree, that's a mulberry tree I planted, 4 or 5 years ago. It seems to be holding on every year. All the other fruit trees planted on this side, and we're talking about putting a bag to a bag and a half of compost and potting soil in that hole we dug for these trees, and watering them daily for 2 years. And on third year, 95% of them are gone. So I don't know what I'm doing. I'm probably going to cut these bigger trees down and plant some more. But anyway, that is part of my prepping plan. Is you can't, where I live, I don't have a huge greenhouse or whatever. So I'm, you know, I want to build one, but I don't have it, and you know, by myself. So this whole area back here is going to be garden. The reason I want to take that pine tree down and these others is to make room for more fruit trees and more garden room. But before my tractor tore up, before the backhoe tore up, I've been pushing that wood line further and further back, clearing it to make my garden area bigger and bigger. Because when you got to feed 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 people, crap hits the fan, you can't go to the store and buy food. You better be able to plant a whole lot of it. So that's the plan. And all these fruit trees are part of my feeding my mag, my group plan for crap hitting the fan. Because every fruit tree blooms and produces harvestable fruit at different times of the year. Now, I didn't stage this stuff out like Jason at Cog Hill over there. But if I took care of these like I'm supposed to, which you will be doing when crap hits the fan, I should be able to harvest a lot more fruit off of these trees to where we can some of it and have fresh fruit to eat as well, which is important when you can't get everything that your body needs to eat. Fruit is very important. So that's why I planted all these fruit trees. And I haven't counted them in a while. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I've still got 12 fruit trees over here and 2 blueberry bushes. And I've got 2 apple trees on the other side. That makes 14. And a mulberry tree. And I don't know if y'all know what a mulberry tree is, but they look like a blackberry, but they're a little smaller. They don't have that seediness to them. They're really, really sweet when they're ripe. And those trees can grow huge. I mean, 40, 50 foot around, 60, 70 foot tall. These things can get so big, it'll outlast you and outlive you. And then they put off a ton of berries. When I was a little boy, I lived with my aunt and uncle, had one out at the house in the country, and we'd run around barefooted out there, and your feet would be purple and red and blue and every other color because that ground was covered with mulberries. So they are a lot sweeter when they're ripe than blackberry are, and you can make a lot of jellies and jams and preserves with them. And anyway, that's why I wanted. I had 2 mulberry trees. Believe it or not, last year, early deer season, a young buck, I actually had him on camera, rubbing his horns, a little 4-point, rubbing his horns on this mulberry tree that was back here. It was bigger. It actually produced a little bit of fruit. And he rubbed his horns all on it and broke the limbs off, broke the main stem, and it just never recovered. I tried, I watered it, I babied that thing, but it just never recovered. A little old 4-point buck killed it with his horns, rubbing his horns on it. So anyway, guys, if you've got room to plant some fruit trees, expect to get fruit on average 5 to 7 years after you plant it, if you take decent care of it. I've pretty much just let mine grow, other than watering them for the first 2 years, just about every day. But that is a food source you could have to feed your group. That takes very little effort. You prune the trees in the wintertime, and when spring and summer comes, they will produce food without having to do a whole lot to them. So if you haven't thought about fruit trees and you have room for them, I highly suggest getting a lot of fruit trees, just because of the low maintenance end of it. As far as pruning them in the winter, you know, you can prune a whole tree in 20-30 minutes, but low maintenance, and they produce a lot of fruit once they start getting mature. So anyway, just some ideas, guys. And I know mine's a mess, but I don't know if I'll ever get caught up. I hope I do. But like I tell y'all, baby steps. Do just a little bit every day to try to improve your preparedness for when crap hits the fan. And I don't know about y'all, but I told y'all I hate armadillos. You see one laying there? Yep, that's a big old son of a gun. It's probably 30 inches long from the tip of the tail. I got to get it and take it off in the back of the woods, because it's going to be stinking pretty good here pretty soon. But I shot that son of a gun about midnight last night. So anyway, guys, I do appreciate you watching the videos. I do appreciate you listening to me. I hope I helped you. I hope I got your gears turning. Other ways of growing and raising food for you, your family, your loved ones, your group. Just because gardening is going to be extremely important. But there are more ways to get food that's nutritious and healthy for your family than just planting a garden when the season allows you to. And all of us can't afford these, what they call high tunnels, these big old huge greenhouses. We just can't afford them. So think about it. Trees, if I had them in the field, I could let them grow a whole lot bigger and taller. But I planted these trees 15 feet apart, I think, and I should have went about 20. But either way, I plan on this winter, fall or whatever, when these trees die back, on doing a much better pruning job and shaping them up so that they will be a little more manageable next year. So y'all do better than I did. Do your best. Do all you can. Rooster decides he's gonna jump up there and show out, and now she's going. But anyway, guys, I do appreciate you. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button. It doesn't cost you a thing, and it really helps support the channel and break that algorithm with YouTube to where it suggests the videos and things to more people. So I do appreciate y'all. Remember what I always tell you: Jesus loves you, and so do I. Y'all be safe, be prepared.